Hello, and welcome to my channel. I'm Grindark, and last time we reviewed some of the worst horror stories the internet has to offer. I recommend you check out my last video if you've not done so already, not only because I am desperately thirsty for your views, but also because if you are new or somehow unaware of what creepypasta is, the video offers a solid explanation and introduction into the topic of this video. Today, you and I will be returning to the Creepypasta Cringe Compendium, where we review multiple horror stories and examine the impact on the community that orbits these tales. So now, let's begin. Fanfiction is a problem. I said it. Sure, it's mostly harmless, but what if I showed you this? Or this? How about this? I changed your mind in one master stroke, didn't I? Every fandom has been relentlessly victimized by horny preteens writing self-insert fanfiction, and that includes creepypasta. Yes, even the indisputably well-written and not at all derivative work called Jeff the Killer has been targeted. These fanfictions eventually evolved into an extended Jeff the Killer universe, as absolutely mind-bogglingly absurd as that sounds. If you recall in my first video, Jeff the Killer had a little brother named Lou. Well, somebody named Vampire Note 13 decided that he either wanted to jump on the Jeff train and get some internet attention, or he really vibed with the barely mentioned brother of Jeffrey the Slayer, because he decided he needed a story of his own. And it goes like this. Lou Woods was a good boy. He always did what he was told, got good grades, tried to keep his younger brother out of trouble, and he had a passion for art and poetry. Good boys don't end up where he had been, but he had volunteered himself because he loved his brother Jeff too much to let him go in his place. It had been a lonely and terrifying experience. Now, it had been a week since Lou was released from that horrible place, only to see his little brother in such a delicate state. He visited as often as he could after school. Jeff couldn't speak, but that didn't stop Lou from trying to keep his brother entertained. Okay, already, where are we in the plot here? This was not a great introduction to the story. Okay, so I was just taking a look at the wiki. I think this is Lou after he got released from like that correctional facility with Jeff in the hospital with those bandages on, because you know those anime boys and their bandages do be popping in the fanverse. All Lou could think about was his school and his brother stuck in the hospital. Jeff did have a roommate, but Lou had a feeling it was just as lonely for Jeff as it was for Lou when he went to that joke of a correctional facility. Time passed quickly enough though, and the doctor was ready to release Jeff. Lou felt nervous as the bandages were slowly removed. He had to remind himself that no matter what his brother looked like now, he was still the boy who could play fight with him, play video games with him, and relied heavily on him as a role model. Well, Lou, I think he found a new role model. Sorry, buddy. The cloth was removed, and his mother's scream told him what he was seeing wasn't an illusion. He swallowed back the feeling of his lunch rising in his throat and told his brother, "It's not that bad." His first lie to his brother. He's never lied to his brother up until this point. This guy, he's a saint. Saint Lou never lies. Great brother. That's his character trait. He has one character trait. He is a good brother, and he does not lie to his brother, okay? He's broken that. So what's gonna happen? Jeff's reply and laughter only made the hair stand up on the back of his neck. Oh yeah, in the original Jeff story, when he like takes off the bandages, he starts Joker laughing right here. That night, Lou fell asleep after some thought. He was sure he had already gotten used to Jeff's face. He was still his brother after all, no matter what he looks like. He woke up to a sound of a thud, and there was a bad feeling in his stomach, informing him something was not right. But he ignored it and tried to go back to sleep. No such luck, and looked up again. A hand covered his mouth, making him lash out, until he was pushed over onto his bed, his attacker pinning him down. Some kind of liquid hit his forehead, and he realized two things. The person above him was Jeff, and he was bleeding from freshly made gouges in his cheeks. See, that's the role model we're talking about here. Heartbreaking for St. Lou. Heartbreaking. The kitchen knife reflected in the dim moonlight coming from the window as Lou thrashed, trying to scream under the hand. "Shh," his younger brother cooed softly. go to sleep. Gosh, I hate that. Why do they all have to have like catchphrases? That's so cringe. Like, it just makes me like, could you imagine getting killed by someone with a catchphrase? How embarrassing. The knife digging into his chest lightly was painful. The cut that followed into his abdomen was the worst kind of pain he had ever felt. Not even the time he had cut himself deeply with the knife compared to this sharp, burning pain. The blade slid across his belly, increasing the pain and the amount of blood on his sheets. Jeff seemed to have given up on keeping him silent, moving his hand to Lou's abdomen. The older boy was still screaming his head off as the lunatic stuck his hand inside the incision and gripped something tightly. My organs, Lou thought in horror. As the world blurred and finally went dark, he wasn't sure if he heard Jeff say, "Good night, brother," or not before passing out. That's a weird thing to add to your story. Not needed. Lou's eyes fluttered open, his thoughts too scattered for anything coherent. "Oh good, he's awake," a female voice stated. Everything was blurry and out of focus as a shadowy blob passed over him. "Hey kid, take it easy. I know everything's been rough on you, but don't worry, you're safe now. He won't be able to touch you here." He? Lou thought. He who? Who's he? Where am I? "Calm down, kid. You're going to drive that heart monitor crazy." A soft pressure grips his hand and Lou closed his eyes, trying to relax. "I'll tell the doctor to up your dosage." "You're a lucky kid. That psycho killed quite a few people. He looks like a demon or something in the police sketches. I wouldn't want to run into him in an alley at night." That's a great thing to talk about to a young child who's been butchered by a maniac. "Oh yeah, that guy who stabbed you, yeah, he's scary. I'm glad it wasn't me." Great. Good job. Great bedside manner. 10 out of 10. I can see why you got hired. Lou frowned. His eyes snapped wide open. It was the only thing he noticed. It was only then that he noticed the loud rapping beating of the heart monitor as he caught sight of the nurse at his bedside. He hadn't even realized he had started to sit up when she pushed him down gently. Lou's eyes trailed to her tools by his side. "Killed her," a voice insisted. "Who said that?" thought Lou. "My name is Sully," replied the voice. Sully? Hold on. Wait a minute. The Monsters, Inc. guy? The Monsters, Inc. guy. He got stabbed so hard, Monsters, Inc. Sully is now in his head telling him to kill people. That's amazing. We need to add that to Jeffrey the Killer's list of superpowers, that he can hurt you so bad you start hearing Disney characters in your head. That's amazing. Great writing. Excellent name selection. Wow, you're really rowdy. Please try to calm down before I have to go get the... She didn't finish as Lou grabbed the scissors from her tray and jabbed them into her eye. What? He said shut up a lot and he stabbed her a whole bunch. And he keeps stabbing her and now she's dead. Okay. Lou didn't think twice. He got up, stumbling his way to the chair that had fresh clothes on it. There was a little card that said "Get well soon." He threw it aside and quickly got dressed, hissing when he tried to bend the wrong way and pulled on his stitches. One look in the mirror revealed his body was riddled with stitches. Those are new, he thought, as he made his way back to the corpse. And to the corpse he says, "You're so annoying and my brother is not a demon." The Monsters, Inc. character in his head said, "I'd beg to differ, but whatever." Sully's great. Sully's my favorite character. Is Sully the best creepypasta character? I think he's my favorite. Sully was ignored as Lou shoved the body under the bed and used paper towels from the bathroom connected to his room to try and clean up as much blood as possible. Hopefully that would buy him some time as he left the room and slowly navigated the hospital looking for an exit. Some paper towels isn't enough to clean up a mess like that. Good luck. You're better off just running. Give yourself some time, man. Come on. Every once in a while his stomach flared in a painful protest, but Lou knew he couldn't turn back now. Jeffrey Woods was a murderer. Lou Woods was too. Wow. Okay, so this is in terms of me reading it, it wasn't as horribly painful as Jeff the Killer, just in my humble opinion. It wasn't great. The plot was bad. He kind of just arbitrarily decided to become a killer. And then Sully from Monsters, Inc. appeared in his brain out of nowhere for no reason to try and get him to kill people, and he just immediately listened. It's such a sharp change from Lou Woods being a good boy to yeah, he just kills people now because his brother stabbed him that one time. Now he's a killer too. Jeff's motivation was he got bullied and then he hurt people and he found out he liked hurting people. That is a logical chain of progression, but Lou just kind of decided to become a killer because Monsters, Inc. So pretty terrible overall. Not a big fan. Okay, so now you know Lou's story. Let's see how it impacted the art community of creepypasta fans. Here we see some pretty solid work, although I have absolutely no idea what he's doing with his hand here. He's ever so gingerly moving this green scarf away from his neck. I don't know why. They did a really sloppy job on his scars. Apparently the doctors or nurses who did that did an awful job. Looks terrible, but I mean, like, overall, like, I think it adds to the piece, if you will. Yo, is that a moon? Is that a planet? Is he in space? This is whack. Okay, I don't know what to make of it. I don't know where he is. I don't know why he's looking at me like that. I don't know why he's touching his scarf. I have too many questions. Let's move on to the next one. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Okay, Tommy. I see you. I see the work you're putting in. I love the proportions. I love them. It looks like a character from Beavis and Butthead. Amazing. Just incredible gray alien-esque head. Man, the way he's like looking at me right now, I can just feel my knees trembling. He's super cute, obviously. I think we could all agree on that much. It looks like he is engaged in a 50 Shades of Grey-esque romance here with, I believe this is Jane the Killer. You will notice that creepypasta characters are not named in a particularly creative manner a lot of the times. But this is amazing. I mean, how could you argue with this? It's beautiful. Oh, that's Jeff and that's Lou. And there were a lot of these, I promise you. I just kind of grabbed a couple at random to review at a later date to kind of keep the reaction fresh. And I remember seeing a lot of this and thinking, that's awful. I hate this. You have talent. Here's another one, just to give you an idea. You had so much talent with your art, and you put it into this. Like, all that years of training. You go through, like, a whole anime arc or whatever, and you just come out with this as your product, and I can't stand it. I hate it. Yo, okay. All right. This is Lou, as we can see. Man, where to start? Do we start with the amazing lesbian haircut? The painted fingernails, whatever this is. Do we talk about how this guy is a cyclops with only one eye and that it's falling off of his head and also through his hair? Amazing, just incredible. Look at his silly, playful expression. Okay, he's having a good time right now. I mean, this is practically perfect art, if you ask me. The only thing I'm surprised about is they gave him no bulge, absolutely no bulge. It's really hard to uwu this character without a juicy bulge. So, I mean, not the direction I would have gone, but clearly one of the best out of the lot. Moving on, a Spanish-speaking mega fan of the Heath Ledger wannabe, Jeffrey Woods, created a self-insert character so she could spread her weird fantasy about being a femme version of Jeff. Allow me to introduce you to Nina the Killer. Nina Hopkins and her younger brother Chris had recently transferred to a new school. It soon became clear that this young and impressionable girl had become a massive fan of the infamous serial killer Jeffrey Woods. Why? Red flags. So this is clear. This is clear to everyone, including her parents. Okay? Having read his origin story so many times, she felt strangely attracted to him, admired him, and fantasized about killing people with Jeff. This is the person making the art. This person writing the story made all the art we've been covering. All this. If only someone had seen the warning signs early, maybe all this could have been stopped. On the first day of school, Nina and Chris had found a place in the schoolyard to eat when they were greeted by 3 students who were later identified as Claudia, Malcolm, and Yoni. Okay, what do you think, guys? Are these 3 people bullies, like in the original Jeff the Killer story? Or do you think they're cool bros who want to come over and talk about creepypastas? Let's find out. Claudia was a notorious bully. Okay, well, there you go. Claudia's a bully and claimed the area as her territory. Chris spoke up, saying how ridiculous that was. They were, after all, just trying to have a quiet lunch together, but Claudia didn't see it that way. She saw it as a test of her authority and acted violently, lashing out at Chris and punching him. At the sight of her little brother being hit, Nina snapped. She pulled out a knife she had concealed. All these kids in these stories have knives. Is it that easy for them to get knives? What is going on? Like, it was not that easy for me to get a knife. I guess maybe like a kitchen knife, but that would be hard to conceal. What the heck? Touch him again and I'll kill all of you, she threatened. Though her brother saw it as an impulse to defend him, she felt something stronger. Something like the urge to kill. This is going well. This is a great story. Are you guys enjoying this? I'm enjoying this. That's why I keep taking breaks to talk to you instead of reading it, you know? Because I just love it so much. Afterwards, she found an anonymous note in her locker. It read, "I know what you did. Don't worry. I won't tell anyone. You're skillful, but dangerous." Skillful? She pulled out a knife. She had a knife and the other kids didn't have a knife. That's not skill. That's just you have a knife. What do you mean? Who wrote this note? Time passed and no police were involved. It was at this stage when Nina could feel her sanity begin to slip away. One night, while her brother was playing out in the yard, Claudia and her gang showed up for revenge. They knew how much Nina loved her little brother, so to get back at her, they took it out on him. They snatched him away from his home and beat him senseless. Then they dumped him out of the car and just drove away. When Nina found her beaten and bloody brother, she rushed him home. He was then sent to the hospital. Nina would soon find another anonymous note. It read, "I'm sorry about your brother. I hope he gets better. Don't think you're alone. I'm here. I'll be your friend, but unfortunately distant." After Chris recovered from his injuries, he was released from the hospital. He would soon return back to school with his sister, Nina. Just when it seems like things were returning to normal, they were jumped by Claudia and the gang once again. They weren't content with just beating Chris. Now it was Nina's turn. Claudia and her cronies set upon Nina, punching and kicking her. She fought back, but she was overwhelmed by the trio. Chris was screaming for help, but no one was listening. In his desperation, he began chucking anything he could at the bullies to try and distract them. He managed to catch Claudia in the head with a rock, and this gave Nina the chance she needed to escape. She broke free from the group and began to run. Claudia was momentarily stunned. She turned to Chris and said, "We'll get you later, but first, we're going to get your sister." Claudia spat in contempt and turned to follow Nina, running into the distance. Nina didn't have much time to outrun the others. They were bigger than her, and she was tiring. If she didn't do something quick, they would soon catch her. Ahead, she found an abandoned house, which she stumbled into, seeking refuge. Claudia was close behind her, with her other two cronies trailing further back. Nina had to find something quick to defend herself with. She found a metal bar lying on the ground. Nina ran into the front entrance and waited quietly around the corner. She heard Claudia's footsteps as she entered the house. Claudia was approaching the corner that Nina was hiding behind. "Get out of here now," was all she had time to say. Her sentence was cut short by the metal bar that Nina swung viciously into her face. Claudia crumpled to the ground, writhing in agony. Nina set upon her, beating her face with the metal bar. With each strike, she became more insane. Nina began laughing. Oh, guys, I think... do you hear that? Is that a Harley Quinn? Oh my goodness, guys. Amazing. This is amazing. I can't believe it. I can't believe I've never made this connection before. It's a Harley Quinn. Oh my goodness. Blood splattered everywhere. Claudia's face was now just a crumpled mess of red. It was at that moment that everyone burst through the front door. They stopped dead in their tracks, horrified by the sight before them. Nina just looked up and smiled. "Who's next?" she asked excitedly. That night, after Nina returned home, she decided it was time for a makeover to match her newfound identity. She was sick of looking normal like everybody else because she wasn't normal anymore. She couldn't be further from it. The only person she could relate to was Jeff. That is a massive L. Huge L if that's the only person you can relate to. She decided she would follow in his footsteps and began searching for bleach. As she began to search through the cupboards in the kitchen, a figure appeared. Her eyes widened in disbelief. It couldn't be, but it was. Jeff was standing in front of her, smiling with that impossibly wide smile of his. He was holding a bottle of bleach and alcohol. As he walked slowly towards him, he poured it over her head, and she didn't complain. "This might hurt a little, but you're strong," he whispered into her ear before striking a match and setting her on fire. You know, I was thinking about this with the original reading of Jeff, but I don't know if A, bleach is flammable, or B, that would turn your skin completely white. I don't think that's how chemistry works. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong there. Nina felt happy. Warm happiness flooded through her as she screamed in agony until she blacked out. Nina awoke in the hospital. She raised her hands to her face and felt the bandages covering her. She stumbled out of bed to the closest mirror and began unwrapping the bandages. She was thrilled with the sight she saw. Her skin was white and leathery. Her hair that was once to her knees, now charred black and only reached about midway down her back. She couldn't be more pleased with her makeover, but there was still something missing. She would fix that later. Later that night, Nina's mother was trying to get some sleep when she was woken by the sound of crazy laughter coming from the hallway. She crept out of bed and stumbled towards the sound. Maybe it was Nina. She'd been acting strangely ever since the incident. The doctor said there could be some serious trauma involved. She was worried about Nina, so she thought she'd check on her just to make sure she was okay. Sure enough, there was a faint glint of light. Coming out underneath Nina's bedroom door. She slowly knocked 3 times. There was no answer, but the laughing stopped, so she gently creaked open the door and stepped inside. It took only a few seconds for her to adjust to the dim light in the room. Her breath caught in horror as she saw the scene in front of her. Nina was sitting on her bed with a sewing kit next to her. She was stitching her eyelids open with a needle and a piece of thread. Her mouth had been cut into a gruesome smile, with the bloodied life hanging next to her. Oh my gosh, man. I believe it. I believe that these mega fans would do this. I 100% believe it. I think they're sitting in their rooms just like imagining this moment. You know, oh, it's so cringy, you guys. I don't know if I can keep doing this. How much more is there? Okay, we're almost done. I'll push through for you guys, but this is ridiculous. Nina, what happened to you? Screamed Nina's mom. Nina finished stitching her last eyelid open before playing. What do you mean? What happened to me? I'm finishing my makeover. Don't I look beautiful? Don't you think I look beautiful, Mommy? Why did you do this to your face, Nina? You don't think I look beautiful, do you, Mommy? Nina picked up her knife and stood slowly. Her mother began to back out of the room and turn away. You should have just said I looked beautiful, Nina said, as she rushed at her mother with the knife, plunging it deep into her heart, her mom crying out one last breath before slumping into the pool of blood. Nina giggled insanely as she stepped over her mother's body and walked to Chris's room. She sat down on the bed next to him and lovingly stroked the hair from his forehead. Nina said, "Wake up, Chris, wake up." His eyes flickered open as he awoke from his slumber. Nina? Yes, it's me. Do you want to start a new life with me, Chris? Yes, he nodded sleepily. Good, she said before she plunged the knife into his chest. Yo, the bait and switch. What? Go to sleep, my prince, was the last thing she said to... Oh, is that her catchphrase? That's awful. Oh. So you just took Jeff's thing and then added like a my prince at the end? What is this? Okay, so I finished the story. I have some questions. You know me, I'm grin dark, I ask questions. What's with this fascination of being beautiful all of a sudden? Like Jeff liked his smile so much he like put it on his face permanently, right? He had to joker it up. But the way it's explained lore-wise is like, oh, he wants to look beautiful. And the same is true for Nina. But like, where is this coming from? I don't see anywhere in their plot where like they feel ugly, so they need to like be pretty or something. No justification for this at all. I think they're just trying to like be spooky, and it is failing. This story was translated from Spanish to English, and overall the translation I think was good. I didn't really struggle with anything as I read along it, other than the plot itself. There was so many times when I just wanted to stop and walk away, play some games, eat a snack or something, and just forget that I'm making this video, but I can't. I gotta persevere, but that was just, ugh, terrible. Terrible. Alright guys, thank you for making it this far. Let's keep on going. If you know me by now, you know we're going to look at some art, so let's take a look at this. First and foremost, I like how they copied and pasted the same face and just gave her like really obscenely long eyelashes. Very nice. Coloring in with crayon, bold move. I gotta say, I approve. I think it paid off. These fingers are a problem. These fingers are so long. Obviously not an accurate representation of either character based on their stories, but you know, this is the kind of art you'd come to expect from the community. I mean, at least it's like on the more wholesome end of things, nothing too cringe, except for the fact that they two serial killers are like happy together. Like ideally they would both, you know, be dead in a ditch somewhere, but here we are. So this is Harley Quinn. this is just Harley Quinn. I mean, it's good. I mean, like, there aren't any like blatant flaws with it, I would say. They did do the stitching on around the eyes because she stitched her eyes open and got the permanent smile thing going on. I like how they tried to be lore accurate, put in some like kind of stylized those stitches a little bit. This isn't like my kind of art. This isn't what I look for, but I mean, for what it is, I can't get too mad. So I hate to say it, but the Nina artists do seem to be you know, just a little bit more talented than the average creepypasta artist. All right, I'm stunned. I can't make fun of this at all. I love it. I think this captures the essence of the character really well. I think this does better justice to the character than the story we just listened to did. This is gorgeous. Look at the eyes. You can see the stitches, the creepy smile, the off-colored skin. Like, this is impeccable. This is one of the best works of creepypasta art I've ever seen. I'm not being ironic at all. This is incredible. Huge fan of this. Just insane. Oh. It's kind of hard to go from this to this, but here we are. I gotta review it. So it does say Nina. I'm assuming it says the killer behind her, but we can't see it. I do like the idea that she had a pink wall that she stood in front of. You know, she wrote her name with a little heart in the eye, maybe a check mark. And now we can't even read it, so interesting choice. Stitched up mouth, interesting choice. I think this is supposed to be like the eyelid stitch, but you'd have to do both sides. But I mean, like, there was an effort was made. You know, someone actually read the story and tried a little bit, paid attention to the details. You know, the goth color was a nice touch. This is a thing. It's happening. So I mean, props for props is due. Nina's art fandom, they did an overall much better job, in my humble opinion. A lot of these are not amazing, and a lot of them were just absolutely spectacular. So that's my honest take on it. Don't come to my channel if you don't want my honest take. Well, we made it to the end of the Creepypasta Cringe Compendium Part 2. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and thank you guys so much for the support you've given the channel recently. It means the world to me. If you liked this video, please leave a comment down below letting me know what you think. I had an awesome time reading the comments on the last video. If you know someone who'd like the video, don't hesitate to share it to them. I'd love to see our community grow. Thank you so much for stopping by. Have a good one.